Here we go. Oh, shit. GFW radio. Listen to our podcast. Yo, yo. Ryan Scott, he is a man. I quit this joint. That was my plan.
Because the truth is, if at the end of the day, the game we're making here, it doesn't matter that we're all working till 8 p.m. at night and ordering pizza every night or whatever, and that it's hard to do this job. If at the end of the day, our game sucks, it sucks. And the critics are totally right to call us out on it, because it's not the critics' job to coddle us who are like working late. It's to like let consumers know, don't waste your $50 on this game, right? So I totally felt like, and that's another thing I get all the time is like, wouldn't you do this differently now that you know? I mean, I think that there's stuff that I've learned that makes, if I went back to the press, I don't think I would write any different. I think I would just have a better understanding of why things happen the way they do. And Sean Elliott, maybe you've experienced this being on the dev side, but just the idea that every little tiny thing, everything in the game is going through this incredibly long, painstaking process of like, 6-hour meetings on should this piece of the UI be over here or over here, or it's totally minor things like that. And so what I learned really most is that when we're writing our reviews, and we're going, or even if you're just a gamer and you're playing the game and you're going, well, why the hell didn't they just do that? Are they so stupid that they didn't realize that if they just had the inventory over here or whatever it is? The truth is, they did think of that. That's what I've learned.
And that's probably what frustrates people on the dev side as well when they read those reviews where people very casually submit an alternative idea. Why didn't they just go with this? Because they don't have the podium to speak from to shoot your idea to fucking shit in an instant. Which they very readily will do because, like what Jeff's saying. The smallest thing, like a UI thing, what your ammo counter, I mean, that's going to be the product of several meetings. And not only is it just, okay, done once the meetings are there and it ends up in documentation, it goes into the game, you continue to test on it, and you look at it, and there's billions of opportunities for someone who's not even from a programmer to come in and say, hey, I was playing today, and this is annoying me for this reason. But it just happens over and over again, and then it might just be thrown out altogether and scrapped. But then and someone comes in and says, dude, wouldn't it be cool if you could, shoot vines from your fingers? And then the dev can't tell you every single edge case that's going to create and why. Well, even if you could, that would have cost us another like $600,000, and that would have meant taking out all these things.
Wouldn't that be cool?
It would be cool. But again, I agree on the press side. Like the question itself, like would you do things differently now that you're a different person, kind of answers itself to me. I mean, of course you would. Like that's the definition of being a different person with a different perspective now. But for me, it would be to not. To critique games with the thoroughness that I always sort of aspired to, but just to avoid personal stuff. Sometimes it's easy to go for the laugh by visualizing the poor like schmuck programmer that they begrudgingly they dragged against his will into the recording studio and made him read some shitty lines that made the game sound even worse than it played. And so it's always tempting to write that,
Yeah.
But now that you know. It's not the people's fault. Often the people that are involved in making a very bad game, they agonize about it because it's like if you're in a bad marriage or something and it's falling apart around you and you feel like you've done everything you could and it's like, and then someone comes in and just like, does like a fucking Nelson on it.
Yeah, it is kind of like that. I mean, really, at the end of the day, kind of the game you've made and you're not surprised by the Metacritic score, but yeah, you don't want someone like razzing you. That way. The example I remember the best from the computer gaming world days was when Robert Coffey wrote the Daikatana review. I mean, it's Robert Coffey and it's Daikatana, so it's just, you're asking for it, right? And the headline that he wrote was actually, yep, it sucks. So, and that was great. I liked that a lot, and we left that in. But in the first paragraph, he actually said that he hated the game so much that he wanted to fly to Texas and shoot the people on the development.
And that's exactly the kind of thing that I'm talking about. And everyone laughed at that, because if you're reading it, you're like, that's funny, that's good copy. But
Yeah, we thought we laughed as editors, but
Now you guys are all company men, wankers, and stuff. But
yeah.
when you're actually like writing something and you want people to read it, you have to be entertaining, and it's not entertaining to sit around and be really, gray area about everything. Like, oh, well, I know this would probably be hard to do, but wouldn't it be cool if you could shoot tentacles from your fingers?
No, it's the difference.
You'd be like, why can't you shoot tentacles from your fingers? Fuck,
You can say that. The difference is the guy that vetoed shooting fucking vines from my fingers is like a douche lord or something, You can say it sucks that I can't shoot vines from my fingers. I mean, that's not a hard and fast ruling. I'm talking about like the way that we would do it if we...
Yeah. I'm just
We're
saying
company men now, man.
You're company men. It's true. Oh, come on.
And we love our companies.
You hurt my feelings, Bobby.
Oh, God. Time for more diaper porn, I think. Actually, we're already, we're running low on time, so should we take questions? You guys have questions?
What about whiskey nerd?
Can I?
Eh?
Just because usually we'd start the
You can go over?
Just keep going.
Keep going. Right on. Okay. Cool.
Since I put in work, I wanted to get this out there.
Yeah.
So now and then we'd start the podcast with like a skit or a rap or something that I'd come up with, and I wanted to bring that back. But the thing is kind of like Hear the Web. Again, I felt like I had exhausted all the possibilities. What am I going to do? And I'd get a false start, and it would be like maybe about some character who he's all excited because he's using like Axe body lotion on his balls, and it forms like candle wax that hangs off the wigs of his like nut hairs. And it was totally stupid. And so I was like, I can't do this anymore. It's like I played that out. So I was like, well, what's on my mind nowadays? And I live in Quincy, Massachusetts, and there's a lot of lottery-addicted white trash to put it politely, in my town. And I've commented before how, you walk down the street and there's just lottery tickets, losing scratch-offs everywhere. You go into a store, and unlike a lot of other states where there's just one official state lottery ticket, we have, dozens and dozens to choose from, and the wall just looks, insane with these things, and they go up in price to, $30 to $50. But so I see these people every day, and they were on my mind, so actually, I'm messing up the explanation. So what happened, my friend Hans came to visit me, and we were just like driving around, and he was marveling at the fact that it was so sad, that these people that just hate math were everywhere there. And what we did was we just started freestyling as we were on this like long drive from the perspective of someone who lives in Quincy, and how like giving that person his due, it's like we just don't understand. We're closed-minded. We shouldn't cast judgment on this guy because he sucks at math. Like maybe there's like a whole nother way of thinking. And so what I did was I basically just, since we recorded some of it, I just adapted what we basically came up with into something that I'm going to read for you right now. I said a scratched-off scratch ticket in the tide for Sunday's sermon. An usher saw me slip it in and looked at me like vermin. Next week, I studied scripture and decoded the winning numbers, put them in the tithe and thought they can keep the earnings. I tried every crackpot combo, now I must be liable to hit the jackpot thanks to the King James Bible. Am I running game or are the games running me? Divide my daughter's birthday by the amount I owe the money tree. To arrive at the numbers I need to win the lottery. My family and friends are upset with how my habits took, but the fools overlook the fact that I never forget my rabbit's foot. Child services got nervous when they saw my son in trousers stitched from tickets and shirtless. They said a kid's a kid, not the clown from Value Circus. The haze that stays, regret over not reusing a ticket. The phrase that pays is to know no limits. Buy more, win more, I tap the old motto, and access the internet to check the code from a Coke bottle. I use these the way Indians use buffalo. Remember that time when I lost traction, tires bound in snow? Only stacks of used tickets under the tire let me go. I'm an old believer in gold fever, and I traded a pull tab for a kidney. Are you with me? Now who's the boss? Not Tony Danza. I won $2 on Bonanza. So yeah, there you go.
We used to get paid to do that.
I know, and that's something I really, truly miss. I'm going to have to come up with a format that allows me to do some stuff like that again.
I heard about this thing called the internet.
I heard this thing called being a company man.
Damn,
I'm gonna hear about that all night.
I do have to say that we get a lot of feedback about people missing us and whatever, and I really do miss you guys a lot. And I think that I was at CGW for a long, long time, and the staffs were always good. And one great thing about Ziff Davis, there aren't many, but one was, hey, they're not around anymore, so fuck. Was that whatever their other faults were, like not paying us enough and not caring about our magazine and other things, we always hired good people. It was always great. But this particular mix of people, this era, was really awesome. And I think, that the ability for us to have a month every month, we had 4 weeks to put this product together and get it out there. And it was just so cool to do that. It was like really, it didn't really feel like a job, did it?
And Sean and I were just talking about this today. Why don't you tell it since I've been blabbing?
Yeah, it was kind of like one of those situations where like if it came up again, like I keep wondering like would I go back to do that? I don't know the answer to that, but it was kind of like that pinnacle, I think, of where like in game journalism, like it just seemed like after that there was nothing else I really wanted to do it in anymore.
Yeah.
So that's kind of when I decided to, once the magazine ended specifically, because I really wasn't interested in the online thing that much, that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to go try something else, because I'm not going to find, like, this thing that I thought was really cool again. So
It was like a perfect storm of
Wait, it ended
personalities
on a
there.
bummer.
It was really a good mix of personalities. And I don't know about you guys, but I really had a like, yay, I'm going to work thing going on every day.
I don't know about every day.
Not every day. Right, the
bad
shift
ones.
days
I
kinda
remember
suck.
Shipping days
quite a
kinda
few
suck.
days of taping the show, although it was when, it was when everything was going to hell. But we would show up, and I'd be like, hey, Jeff, how's it going? I'm like, I'm thinking about killing myself.
That's because I was sitting in meetings with douche lords above me I knew things were about to go down bad, so
Yeah.
I knew. We should talk about that.
Douche lords?
Douche lords, that's a topic. No, you want to talk about the end? What actually happened?
This is the end.
Should we do that?
Yeah.
Should we, tell the truth?
Sean is saying no.
Speak truth to power.
It doesn't really matter.
They don't have any power anymore, so you don't have
We
to.
can do
be
that, or we
tough.
can go, if we do listener questions, we've got, like, since you've been asking for the George Bush-style town hall, I've got a plant in the front row right here with the question.
Awesome. Let's do questions.
That's
If you want to ask what really
Yeah,
happened,
if you want to,
That's not
that's
what
how
when
we
they
give you
closed
the
our
option.
magazine, I'm prompting you to ask that.
Yeah, exactly.
And said that they're moving GFW magazine online. Go ahead and ask. And we'll rant.
So, yeah, go ahead, and, Jeff, are you going to actually... Yeah,
There's a
we
mic
don't
in the
need a
middle
copy
there.
card. We're going to
So,
trust
like,
you
line up
not
if
to
you
go
want.
ape shit on that mic.
Real quick, we've got somebody who would like to present something for you guys.
We have a presentation coming.
I started to cut the line, but I had to get this out before too late. I should have done this.
Oh, look at this.
Oh my God.
What's going on?
Alright, so did anyone not get some Korean snacks? Anybody want some Korean snacks? Alright, I guess it's cool. Well, the snacks were for you, Jeff, because you guys want some?
Everyone that comes through the line should. Somebody is now covered in salted dried shrimp.
The snacks were for you, Jeff Green, because you always talked on the podcast how your mom never let you have potato chips.
Yep.
So I got tons of potato chips and
Yay.
they're going around, so I'm sorry.
I'll take some.
First gift goes to Ryan Scott, who many of you already know, got married earlier this year to April.
Mrs. Ryan Scott, stand up. Stand up. No,
I heard she was a freak, y'all.
There she is.
So in honor of that fact, I got you both action figures.
Awesome.
Is it like some anime lolly ant figure?
Oh boy.
Oh, man, that's... Oh, I'm going to thank him for you, Ryan. Because
Very
all you
nice.
can say is what the hell.
No, that's awesome. So basically, it's a traditional Korean couple, a wedding couple. So enjoy, Ryan. I hope you like your action figures. You can put that on the wall next to your Final Fantasy VIII collection. The next gift is for Sean Elliott, who is going to celebrate a birthday after PAX is over, and we won't be here to wish you happy birthday. So this gift is for you. You remember your college days, your roommate Derek Evans?
Oh, shit.
You remember Derek?
I've talked about Derek on the podcast before. Because he was the guy that I watched Satisfaction Jackson with. and Wait, one thing about Derek, he was a champion. That he was the one that had the tranny porn, and I convinced him to. He had his homies come over, and I convinced him to play it up like he had hooked up with one of them. Well, actually, it was one of those. This is a quick. Back in the day,
They would release pornos and compilations called Colossal Combos, and they were just because, now on the internet you can just compile all this crap together, but it was just a bunch of junk, and so it wasn't a whole tranny thing, so it was very conceivable for a confidently hetero man to end up with tranny segment in his combo. And it was just like the onion that actually accidentally lands in your Subway or something, And so he was watching it, but I convinced him to let all of his homeboys come over and just sit there with the impression that he had kicked it to this woman. And so, of course, when the robe comes off, everyone was just like, ding! It went crazy. But anyway, that's Derek.
So, in honor of Derek and your birthday, I actually did track down, and I'm ashamed that I did. I actually did find
Tranny porn?
I did find you a copy of Satisfaction Jackson.
Nice.
This is the one that it has some really nice lines. Fine writing.
Sean, why don't you kick that logic? You know
I'm
how
not
it
going to
goes.
say it because it sounds like, unfortunately, it will sound as though like I'm doing stereotypical impressions.
No, that's what it
But
sounds
it was
like, man.
the line. I mean, it's an exploitation film.
You guys want to hear it, right?
I'm not going to say
Yeah,
this
come on,
in
kick
front
it,
of-
Sean.
Say it as
in
white
front
as
of a
possible.
crowd, and guy, don't kill me when I'm done. Because the whole premise of this is that, God damn it, why did you... The whole premise is
No context.
is that you can't please your wife, and you take them to the Satisfaction Jackson, who will not only please her, but he'll teach you what to do. And so this guy brings his wife, and she's, she's just like, you bring home plenty of bacon, but not enough pork. And he's just like, get back. I design computers for a living, not fuck pussy. And then Satisfaction as he's doing his thing. And this will forever live in infamy. I'm on a videotape actually saying this. And
Yeah,
he says-
baby.
He's like, lick, stroke, kiss, suck. Only then did you give your fuck. Make them happy. It's the main attraction. Bitches call it satisfaction. So on those lines,
Sorry, Mom.
we had a movie. Okay, whose birthday? Who's got the next one?
All right, this last gift is for all of you. I should have done this earlier, and timing was bad, but this is for all of you guys, especially Anthony, who they called him a benchwarmer, but there's no fucking benchwarming in this game. So this is for you.
Oh, dude, wait, who called him the bench warmer?
Well, we'll hold it up so we can see.
So the credit for this artwork is from Terrence Stas.
Thank you. That's awesome.
I really hope a Beach Boys cover band plays under that at a county fair sometime. I would watch that.
I don't want to take too much time because there are a lot of guys here that want to say thanks or have a question, but I actually did get in contact. I remember you guys had a one and only GFW radio bumper sticker sent in by Terrence Stas, S-T-A-S-S-E, and by a miracle, I actually did find his webpage, and I asked him if I could have some materials to make this banner, and he was kind enough to oblige me very quickly. And so I went to my local printers, and they printed that up for me, and the rest is history. So if you guys could, like, go to his webpage. He's got some art projects going down that he would really appreciate your support. So that's STASSE. And isn't that beautiful?
Thanks a lot.
Hey,
That's
Anthony,
awesome.
look who's on the end there, bitch. That's you. Yeah.
Anthony, you want to come shake him?
So I want to thank you all for making this possible. Thank our organizer for making this possible. Can you stand up, please, and be recognized? And we thank you for all the insight and all the humor and everything. So thank you very, very, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't have any presents or anything, but
Yeah.
I was chatting with Sean earlier. We have some shared concerns because I was reading up on the internet that on 420chan that they have found some cannabis seeds in Robert Ashley's stool, and I just wanted to address this publicly as a little. I don't know, Sean, you want to take the lead?
I like how Sean tries to embarrass me with this shit, but you're the one tweeting to everyone that you're smoking my feces to get high. Like, that's much more embarrassing to you.
I know what I'm saying.
And you remove the seeds. I don't smoke them in my dung.
Dude, teach me. How does it work?
Well, you got to get a Starbucks cup. You just cut a little hole at the bottom. No, just kidding.
So yeah, to confirm, to answer your question, I did indeed find I wasn't looking, but Robert neglected to flush, and there were certainly high cannabis content in his fecal matter this morning. Okay.
Anyways, thanks,
All right.
guys. You're awesome.
Thanks, man.
Okay, now you have to ask a question that's humiliating to Sean now.
Guy behind guy.
No, I can't, because I gotta take this to ask stuff how to go down at Zeph.
Ryan?
Well, they said they were going to. Well, when they closed the magazine, their whole spin on it. There's always spin when something like that happens. Their positive way of closing the magazine was to say we're moving Games for Windows magazine online, which we all knew at the time was a complete sort of fabrication. The magazine was gone. That was their like soft landing. What was that? What they called it? It was like
Soft landing. Yeah.
It was it was somehow tied up in Microsoft's their marketing message.
Yeah, no, that's the good part.
Ryan, you were like more horrified than when your mom was like, Rufus had to go to sleep.
But now he lives on the internet.
That's just not nice.
Basically, yeah.
Right. Well, the whole part, the big deal was that, I was told that the magazine was closing down, and I knew before these guys. And I was told that the message was that we were going to say that GFW magazine was moving online, knowing really that wasn't true, that what was actually happening was we were not losing our job, so that was cool, right? I mean, when a magazine goes under, usually the editors lose their job, so props to Ziff for actually not canning our asses that day. What they were doing was they were just moving us into oneup.com. And at OneUp, we were just going to be doing whatever. It didn't have anything to do with GFW magazine anymore. But the reason that they were saying that GFW magazine was moving online was because Microsoft was concerned that GFW magazine closing was going to hurt the Games for Windows brand. Which was really ironic because we had, how many issues of Games for Windows magazine did we have? Like
17.
17? How often did Microsoft actually help us? 0 fucking times. They never helped.
Well, they
had those awesome ads in the back, though.
The advertorials were great.
Yeah.
Those went around the office, internal email, too. Look at this bullshit.
In the very last issue, this is when we looked at it and we were like, oh God, this is doomed. The very last issue, their advertorial pages, 2 of the pages were for my horse and me.
Yeah. Well, so that was the great irony, was that we had made this deal. And again, the props to Ziff is that, a lot of people thought that Games for Windows was sort of, magazine was sort of the death of us, that like we shouldn't have ever made that deal, that we should have just stayed Computer Gaming World. The truth is that Games for Windows actually extended our life by those 17 issues. They would have just shut us down. Did you guys know that?
I knew that.
I didn't know that.
You're right, I knew that. So it was sort of like a deal with the devil that allowed us to prolong the life and keep making magazines. And of course, at the time, we sort of hoped maybe Microsoft wasn't full of shit. Maybe stupid us. Maybe actually this platform was going to take off. So we tied our horse to that, and we said, okay, right, let's be the official magazine for this awesome new platform. They're promising it's really going to take off, so let's do it. There's going to be kiosks at all the GameStops and the other stores that are going to have Games for Windows games and our magazine right there in the front of the stores. That never fucking happened, right? So there were all these things that made it sound like a good deal to us. And again, if we didn't take that deal, we were out. So we did it. But then once we had the magazine and it was going, we basically never heard from them again. So the Games for Windows, we were watching on its own, the Games for Windows live platform itself not doing well and making just incredibly boneheaded mistakes. And we were also getting no support as a magazine. We were told, oh, we'll get you access to StarCraft 2, whatever. We're Microsoft. You're going to get every cover story in the world.
Well,
Meanwhile,
the
PC
people
Gamer
in
was
charge
kicking our ass.
But Jeff, that worked both ways. I'm not saying this to be the Captain Corporate, but their same hands-off allowed us to. I mean, some of the things we got away with.
Yeah.
Very true.
They had no say in the content we put in the magazine, and also, I want to thank John Davis and the support we had.
Yep.
It allowed us to put stories in there
that's very true.
Putting them on the cover wasn't necessarily going to sell more copies of the magazine in an airport or something.
You're right.
And,
in fact, that
the
was
things
a lot
we said
of
on the podcast. The level of
you're right, and a lot of people's concerns when we made that deal was that we are going to be Microsoft's bitch now and have to do whatever they said. In fact, we never did.
That was something we were fighting. Even if we were 12 issues in, the perception a lot of people had is that we were not an independent magazine.
That's true. So that's all very true. But the opposite of that was that we were their official magazine, and there was actually no official support. And the first time we heard of them worrying about the brand was after we were shut down. So it was kind of a drag. That's the real true story of what happened. Isn't that a great story? Yay!
Tell your children at bedtime.
Next, another question?
No. I just want to apologize at first if I sound like a huge dork.
We're all huge dorks. We're judging.
Okay. Also, I would specifically apologize to Jeff Green. I spent a lot of yesterday trying to work up the nerve to come say hi, but I just never could, and I think you were kind of giving me the eye, like, who is this weirdo? Like,
I just thought you were hot.
Yeah. I just want to say, Sean, Robert, Ryan, and Jeff, and also Anthony. I think I speak for a lot of people here when I say that I think you guys are kind of one of a kind. I feel like you're kind of a class unto your own. Like, the discussions you had, well, I mean, granted they were rarely about games, or especially Windows, they really challenged the way that I thought about games, and just about life in general, like, specifically Sean Elliott, like...
Wait, one more. The fact that I'm absolutely flattered at the fact that you're willing to say this
so soon after I delivered the lines from Satisfaction Jackson has me convinced that you've been fishing around in Mr. Ashley's toilet bowl.
I did not inhale.
Okay, sorry, just ignore that. Go ahead, continue on.
I feel that's just part of the great dynamism of you guys, whereas one hand, Sean's making jokes about smoking Robert's poop, and at the same time he goes into this incredible insight that just completely blows my mind and changes the way I think about what is a game and how should we look at it, and you guys just did this stuff all the time, and I just look at you guys as just some of my favorite writers and journalists, and I'm going to take a bit of a cue from Robert, and I feel like you guys could have written about anything and talking about anything, and yet here all you are talking about games. So like, why games?
It's a decision.
Oh shit.
Right.
I never thought
Start
about
from
that.
the left.
We fucked up. We could have been somebody.
Could have done something else.
Because any other thing in the world that we would have written about, we wouldn't have had a room full of people show up.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't know.
Gamers are a great audience. Like, they love everything. It's amazing.
But to say it's about us specifically, I think is a little disingenuous because I mean it's obviously part of who you are as well. I think that's kind of what I'm getting at is like why that as opposed to something else.
The cynical version is that it's a very small pond and it's
We couldn't get other
comparatively
jobs.
easier to be a big fish in it than it is to say, continue to get rejected by Atlantic or New Yorker or something.
Yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
it's,
Well, I'm
not to insult anyone in the room maybe, but it's like the pretty good looking girls who come to PAX who dress like in little skirts and stuff,
Don't
and
go
for
there.
a day,
Don't
go there.
they're the hottest girl in the room. And I think that's what Sean's saying.
You made me feel so good. You made me feel good.
I don't know. I don't know if this happened to you guys, but I totally just stumbled randomly into it because I had no intention whatsoever to get into this. I mean, I was back in Buffalo, in Rochester, New York, being an electrical engineer, and then out of the blue, and then on the side, a bunch of my friends were just writing movie reviews for a website just because we thought it was fun, and like we could, write to publicists and try to get free tickets. So out of the blue, I got a call from GamePro.com that this is back, by the way, when .coms were like getting a lot of money, that they were going to open up a entertainment and DVD and anime site, like branded GamePro.com, which you look back now and you're like, what? But so I was like, and they were like, hey, we like your movie reviews. And I happened to have a friend who kind of recommended me. So I started as the movie and DVD reviewer for this. And then as .coms exploded back in the early 2000s. Because it was GamePro, I kind of drifted over to games, and I always played games. I guess I should have known because when I was like 12, I used to keep like 50-page dot matrix printouts of like little 2-paragraph game reviews for all my Genesis games, and I would hand them out to like the neighborhood kids, and they could look at them, and like I had a library system, and like, well, that one gets 3 asterisks, so you'd probably like that one. So I guess it was inevitable, but never would have guessed it would have been a career until I just randomly like went down that path, and then once I was in like the GamePro magazine thing, I think I just kept doing it. I don't know. Did anyone like actually intend to do this?
I think Ryan did, right?
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
All you guys?
Yeah, I was like I was a video game magazine whore from the age of like 7. I would buy every single video game magazine, and the irony was that I never had any games. I got like one game every year, and I would just read about games constantly. It was like all those when I used to read the letters from EGM, the prisoner letters. Prisoners used to write to EGM all the time, and they would be like, "Oh man, I miss video games so much, and EGM is the only thing that gets me through this, man. I just read about them all day, and I think about playing them, and I imagine playing them, and just keep on making this magazine." And that is totally what game magazines were for me. And from an early age, I think I wanted to do that, and it's really weird that I did. So,
I don't know. How did I get into this? Like, I wrote a bunch of reviews, like reader reviews for GameSpot, and put them all into a folder and took them all to E3 one year to beg everybody for a job, and applied for a bunch of internships, I think. And Jeff Green happened to be the one that called me. So here I am.
They were good. They were really good reviews. Yeah.
I don't know. Looking back on them now.
Compared to the shit we got.
Well, compared to I Love Shooters.
There you go.
I guess I had a leg up. So, but I was, I spent about 6 months like really hardcore. Like, this is what I'm gonna do. This is gonna be awesome. And yeah, well, I lucked out. I kind of, it was sort of like a perfect combination of like luck and I guess some whatever talent you thought I had.
You have a lot of it. Yeah. Actually, I remember in the job interview that you were worried about your
education.
Your education level.
Lack thereof.
Right. Well, you went to college, didn't you?
I attended classes at a community college.
Right, but see, that was a joke at Computer Gaming World for as long as I was there, which was 15 years. Was like, if you had anything over a 3.0, you were suspect as a game journalist, because it meant you weren't playing enough games when you were younger.
But what you told me, you were like, this guy spent all this time playing Ultima Online, he's tired. Wasn't that your...
I did?
Instead of going to class, which is true.
Right. And you were high, right, because of that. I don't know why Ultima Online was a good thing.
Well, that was awesome. It got me a job.
It did. Yeah.
All right, just one last personal story. From the... never mind.
Wow. Fatality.
Having had the dubious honor earlier today of riding in a shared elevator with a mother and her impressionable child, and one Robert Ashley, I just wanted to affirm the veracity of his story.
He was there. He was in fact there.
And also to point out that the gentleman in question did lean out of the elevator to make sure that he got the term teledildonics correct. So I think I just wanted to congratulate Robert that, hopefully you've opened some doors for that gentleman.
I like to imagine that he walked out of the hotel and saw this whole new world. Whenever he saw nerds walking around, he would imagine them like having sex with each other with elaborate machinery that was dishwasher safe.
Life-changing.
It was a magical moment, so thank you
Well,
for that.
thank you. Sean really didn't believe me, so I appreciate that. All right.
He still doesn't.
Yeah, I was here last year, and during one of yours, I remember somebody asking a question, can we have GFW radio here next year? And everybody was like, yes, we need this. And then events transpired, and I was so glad that events transpired again to have GFW radio back here for PAX this year. And I was at a panel yesterday about game journalism, post everybody leaving and going to the development side, and pretty much every time somebody asks the question, would you ever go back, it's universally no, and nobody ever comes back. But I know you guys have like such more perspective, from being on that side, and I was wondering, even in like a freelance capacity, some years from now, would you see yourself coming back? Because I would love to, read a Sean Elliott and Jeff Green and Sean Malloy review with you guys' new perspective, and see what shakes out of that.
I would love to write reviews still. It's complicated for a number of reasons. I mean, one, there's just a general rule in the industry: you speak no evil, especially of your competition. And it's kind of hard to have a proper review of anything when you've agreed up front that you're not going to say anything negative. As for what the future holds, I have no idea. I know I'm absolutely in love with the job I have right now and all the things that I'm learning, but maybe I'll come up with a pen name and somehow avoid my addiction to certain stylistic things so I can sufficiently disguise myself. I don't know.
I don't think you could.
I don't think so.
I think it would bleed through.
Jeff?
I'd go back. Yeah, I would go back. I actually do really love my job, and those of you who came to see me at my booth today, I really love working on the game that I'm working on, despite comments I've made on certain one-up yours or one-up videos. But writing was always my passion. I'm fortunate to be able to write at EA. They're letting me write dialogue and things like that, and that's been a really super fun challenge for me to write, not in my voice, but in the voice of these characters, and they're for kids, which is super fun for me. I have a kid, so I enjoy doing that, but I do really miss journalism. I spent 17 years as a journalist, which is a long time, and I do miss it. So yeah, I'd go back given the opportunity, but I loved print. I was a print magazine guy, and while I certainly learned a lot online and loved online, really my true love was print. If somebody could put together a PC gaming magazine and needs an editor and could pay me well, yeah, I'd do it.
I would totally write for that. Yeah. I haven't left, so I don't.
You're still here.
You guys left and got industry jobs. I got poor. I got a credit card bill the size of a. Anyway, never mind.
Yeah, I mean, you're selling posters though, man. You're monetizing.
Yeah, monetizing
posters.
Yeah.
I mean, I touched on this a little before, but if the circumstances were kind of correct in this molecular fashion, that probably will never happen again. Yeah, but I don't know. I think I'd be more likely to try something completely different because, like I said, I stumbled into this, and I kind of just stumble into things. I think, and that's kind of my personality, and I like trying a lot of stuff. So
a lot of the doubt I think comes with the state of the industry, and I don't mean to say that it's gone down the shitter or anything, and it was so glorious when I worked in it, but when you look at the way things have moved, the kind of stories that I personally enjoy writing the most, they take time to report and they take time to actually write and edit them, and they don't pay off, and I totally understand that. A lot of the people that run websites approach things from a business perspective. That's what they're paid to do. Mm-hmm. And from that point of view, when the return on investment just doesn't make any sense, you can have someone summarize another website story for the day in under 5 minutes, or you can set someone on a week's worth of labor to get a quarter of the potential traffic. It just, no one can afford to sustain that anymore.
Right.
So
Well,
just being realistic.
Right, and that is the kind of freedom that we had at GFW and CGW, the magazine, where we could take the time and the effort to write the story, like the Islamic gaming stories and things like that on the web would have been just kind of a disaster, just because of the nature of the web, the need to get clicks.
Let's also point out that kind of stuff is widely available on blogs and other outlets.
Yes,
but unfortunately, the people that are producing them aren't being compensated in a way that allows them to make their entire living off of that.
I also want to point out,
when you say online, you mean in the big portals, the IGN,
You're right,
and GameSpots and stuff,
Yes.
because they need to have a huge. They're like MMOs; they have to have enough traffic
Right.
to pay for the infrastructure that's so enormous that they have.
Right, you're right. But I do want to point out, because we haven't given the props yet to some of the new forms of media. And specifically, I'm thinking about Robert Ashley's A Life Well Wasted podcast. Because that's some fucking outstanding journalism being done right there.
I don't actually make it.
He told me
it's
to say
outsourced
that.
to a guy in China.
Thanks a lot, you guys. I love A Life Well Wasted. I love Geekbox. I love Out of the Game, and I'll keep listening to you as long as you keep putting stuff out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So I was gonna say something about all the podcasts you guys are doing and make sure that A Life Well Wasted got the comments it deserves, but I'll skip right to the question. Sean, this one's for you. On the podcast, you talked a lot about your frustration with the view that lots of gamers have about PC gaming and exaggerations about how complicated or expensive it is and all
The
that.
fucking comfy couch argument. It puts me in a rage to see that.
So my question then is, now that you're working at a developer, working on some top secret game that you're not going to say anything about, have you been able to work with your coworkers, maybe change their tastes a bit, maybe get the game that they're working on focused a little bit different than it might have otherwise been?
Well, I'm very limited in what I can say about it, but other than the atmosphere, yeah, I got quite a few people I work with in the company. Heroes to play that with me. Just last week, I organized a game on the clock of thanks to Ken Levine being cool enough to let it happen, just a killing floor to show people. They gave me the opportunity. They're like, hey, you think this is worthwhile? Everyone's gonna likely look at the splash screen and assume certain things about it. Like, show people what it's about and build your cases for why it's worth people's time. And so yeah, there's a strong PC gaming culture in the studio in the first place. I mean, when you look at its roots, going back to Looking Glass and System Shock 2 and Thief and all that stuff. So
Thanks.
I know. I was sitting there. I'm not wearing my contacts, which means that about 12 feet out beyond, I can't see. And I was like, wasn't the guy a big splash of green?
That was like a black shirt.
Plus, you're still so blazed off my shit.
Okay.
I have a small request for Jeff Green and Sean Elliott. Could you do the rap theme song?
The plosives are already like screwing these mics up, so the idea of me beatboxing on it is probably not that wise.
Awesome.
But why don't you solo this? Why don't you just?
I'm gonna solo it. I need your beatboxing, man. Oh, by the way, we do have another rap coming on Out of the Game, a new one, right?
You've
Oh,
been
no, it's up to
promising.
me.
I'm not
saying
going to
right.
promise.
I gotta write it.
Yeah, you're sitting on the pot.
He's giving me the beat. We're gonna do it.
You've had it for weeks.
Takes me a while.
Just do it.
Sean.
Bucks further back.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay.
Give us the intro, man.
I forget how did it go, dude. It was like
It's the
that.
sound of us-
There you go.
Sound of us.
Oh yeah. This is the sound of us walking across your mom's ass.
GFW radio. Listen to our podcast. Yo, I'm off. I'm white.
You had 2 lines. I'm right. I'm very right. It took us like 30 minutes to record that initially.
It did. It took us about an hour to get those 2 lines.
Yeah.
And then you had to go back in Pro Tools and line up the beats and everything.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hey guys, I was wondering what's going on with Chef Love. What's going on, guys? I mean,
He's right there.
He's right there.
He's right here. What's going on? What's his dating life like?
Are you his long lost brother?
Holy shit! We got the doppelganger picture earlier, so.
Holy shit. Dude, you're Roger Clinton's back there.
I'm very much single.
And he's tweeting.
That's all I needed to know.
He's tweeting.
He's available, ladies.
Nice.
Hi guys, my name's Jazz. I actually never had listened to your podcast before.
Dude, wait. Dallas English? No. Jazz English.
Jazz English, yes.
Dude, you have the craziest name.
Thank you.
I've met you like 3 times now.
You have.
Jazz English. That's your real name.
Yes, that's my real name.
To talk about the pyramid scheme?
Yeah, seriously. Let's stop and talk about the pyramid scheme.
What's up, Jazz? What's up first?
Okay.
Can I do something?
No. You're just very
We
very
know you
memorable.
work for Amway, Jazz.
Because you have the most memorable name possible, and I have just a memory for you. So, hit it, Jazz.
Okay, so my plan was, at school, I realized we're all teenagers. Teenagers all pretty much hate society, and one thing that builds our society is religion. What if I made a religion that appealed to teens? Not only make 1, but make 3. And charge for donations for each one. So, I would plan at lunch, all 3 running at once, me running back and forth between them as a different preacher for each religion, and having all my little, I was gonna get cute girls to be the ones to,
Jess, that's the most succinct definition of Waja that I was never able to provide on in the history of the podcast.
In here, I thought you were talking about Yu-Gi-Oh.
That's a real story, actually.
Okay. Thanks, Jess.
I don't think he was done.
It's the sound of one-handed clapping.
Damn.
I don't know. What if you did, man? Like, ask what's his, Giuseppe Contelli. He still has an account on OneUp, I think.
No, he doesn't.
Keep going, Jazz.
That was actually a lot better than my question, so I'm good.
Was it a serious question? I'm sorry. Should I be apologizing again?
Probably. You don't have to apologize.
Nice. So what's up, Sean? I wanted to know if you could be my big brother. I don't have any kangaroo nutsack purses for you, but I ride a mean banana is what I'm trying to say.
Wait, what?
he said he rides a mean banana.
Yeah, man, I fucking.
So basically, he wants to be your medic in Team Fortress.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
What do you say,
So,
Sean?
what do you say?
No, what's that? What's
He can't really see you.
I don't even know.
I think you got to like. Are you good at medic? Can you play medic?
I have a max.
So. Actually, we could use more bodies in Killing Floor because it's like imminently griefable. Basically, you just there's the trader that you have to access. It's the only place to get weapons, but for some reason they didn't put collision volumes around the players. So you just stand in. Oh, actually, they did. So you can just stand in the doorway, and anyone else that wants to get some
ammo, they don't get none. And then you can weld them out too. You just like kick them out, tell them to run outside to the door, then you weld it shut, and then you just like demand that you demand a tribute, because in that game pressing B will throw out your money, which is another like interesting mechanic in ways I won't get into. But yeah, so
I think that's a yes.
So yeah, if you can stand in the doorway, you can ride my banana in that game.
Hey guys, my name's Andrew. I came here from Wisconsin, mainly just to see this panel. So it's really cool to see everybody.
Thank you. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah. A little bit of praise quick. Man, the rodeo was like being a kid when I would go to the grocery store every month to get EGM. Had it all over again as an adult, but on a weekly thing waiting for this podcast. So thanks to everybody on the now fallen banner up there, Chuff included. Excellent
kind of
show.
a metaphor
All right, so now that I've sucked all your dicks.
The real fans are under the table, by the way.
Sorry.
I apologize to the rest of you because it's mainly just deals with Sean Elliott. Let's go back to
awkward.
let's go back to E3 2008. You guys did a show, a podcast right after it, or maybe it was at the show. I don't remember, but you were talking about a certain game presentation that was being done at a booth by Randy Pitchford, and I'm wondering if maybe when you got on board over at 2K, like you got there and there was like a bag of shit waiting for you guys. Or like an email or something, you know? Is there a good story there? Or?
Wait, from Randy?
Yeah, you made fun of his Borderlands.
Yeah, we did.
Presentation because of the way he was pitching the game.
Yeah, dude, you
Right.
were like,
which is what, to just ramble on for hours and hours? I had to interview Randy Pitchford for a.
See, this is my problem. I'm sorry for I just like I spaced on that, but yeah, I'm so used to just apologizing for everything in my life. All I do is just fuck everything up and like say I'm sorry and then just do it again somehow.
But do you remember why you made fun of him? Was it because he was rambling?
I think Jeff was the one that was. You were blogging about it, weren't you?
I live blogged it, yeah.
And I don't even remember. It was.
I live blogged DA and they still hired me, so.
Your exact words were that he was like saying that there's like, a million different guns, and it was like, yeah, we put a yellow sticker on the shotgun, so now it's different.
Now I guess the same, and they've since changed the emphasis there, but it would just be the same thing. Is that like now when you have that level of granularity in a weapon, what it just means is that the material difference in those weapons is so insubstantial that it's meaningless to the average person, and it's communicated entirely through meta stuff. So, numeric icons that appear on the screen, as opposed to you having a crossbow in Half-Life and you shoot someone with it and it goes through their chest and they stick to a fucking wall, as opposed to this. If you look closely, a -14 appears instead of a -13 when you hit someone, and that's not. The level of granularity that they're decided to keep, as far as I know, I know as much as everyone else does looking at the media. But yeah, at the time, I guess that was my rather unpolitical way of putting that.
So no bag of shit, in other words.
No, Randy's. I have total respect for Randy and company, so I'm glad he didn't do that to me.
He's a magician. A magician.
Randy, that's all I had. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
I got two quick questions. First of all, Jeff, I was at the EA booth today. I passed by your game. Someone was actually playing it.
I saw you Twittered that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And you were nowhere in sight. What's the deal?
Yeah.
Busted. Wow. Well, I was on a break, and actually I went to check out Ron Gilbert's Death Spank, which, if you guys haven't seen that, it was awesome. I'm so thrilled he's making games again. That was actually the coolest thing I've seen at the show so far, other than every EA game. And so that's where I was.
Can you answer though, Jeff? Why does My Sims seem to be on the road like and everywhere? It's like at every convention and every.
It's a good game.
Well, I'm not saying it's not, but it just seems like it's like when's it coming out?
It's coming out in 2 weeks.
Okay, that's fair
You can
enough.
buy it.
I was giving you an opportunity to pivot.
Yeah, it's coming out in 2 weeks, and it's a good game. Adventure game for kids, but you'll like it too.
Do you have any? Did you manage to get any like perverted Easter eggs into it or anything?
Well, I tried. I actually had, I was able to write a lot of incidental dialogue. So, in an adventure game, you had to think about like, what if the player goes up and does this thing or talks to that character, even though that's not really what's happening in the plot. So they said like, you just go for it and come up with good dialogue trees for these random characters. So I found one character who was the town bully, and I decided it would be funny to me if every time you went and talked to him, he said another line from Taxi Driver. And that didn't make it into the final game. I had fun writing it anyway.